So this seems an appropriate slide to, I think, follow from the previous discussion. Big data is everywhere. Everyone's talking about it, and it means different things to a lot of different folks. Now agencies are moving from just talking about it and thinking about it to how do they actually put it to use? How do they put it to their use? How do they take advantage of it? They generate data every day, from executing their mission to entering into contracts with you here in the room. And how do they make sense of this data? Well, that's where you guys are going to come in. Agencies, they want visibility on their networks, and they're going to need your tools to do so. They want to be smarter about how they manage their business, so they need your capabilities to help them improve that. Now, they've begun embarking on big data initiatives, and you're only going to see these grow in the coming years, although if there's a caveat here, it's that big data is likely to be cut to provide for cybersecurity spending. That's the one area that we don't anticipate seeing any decline in spending. But the good news, even if you have a level of funding that's cut in big data initiatives, if they don't have the money for your tools today, they're really going to try and find it tomorrow because they do want to understand and utilize this information that's there.
Cloud computing. It's been one of the hottest topics of the last few years, but like shared services, this is something that we're finally seeing some movement away from talk and towards actual implementation here. So according to some industry analysis, federal cloud spending could reach as much as $1.7 billion by the middle of this year, and that number could grow to as much as $7.7 billion by 2017. So a lot of expansion here. And we're seeing things like infrastructure as a service being adopted successfully at a number of federal agencies, and they're already starting to realize cost savings. COTS vendors out there who have cloud implementation and management tools definitely going to start to see more demand for their products in the next few years. And we're also hearing about requirements for things like network management, systems management, IP and domain name management, basically the tools and the technologies that underpin successfully operating a private cloud, which so far has been the preferred method of adoption at the government. Now, a few departments that you want to look out for here. Treasury is leading the non-defense government in public cloud spending. SSA is actually ahead in private cloud, and DOJ is leading in community cloud spending.
So the last major technology initiative that we'll talk about before we get into the agencies is mobility. Now, many technologies within, or many technology leaders within the federal space, I'm sure we're all hearing them talk about mobility as being the way of the future, and it really is. But they're not exactly sure in what form or function they're going to be able to have mobile on their networks. So the hot topic I'm sure many of us hear about when we go to these conferences or we talk to federal technology leaders is they understand that the technology is there out in industry, but it's governance and policy that they're really struggling with. They don't know really how to bring some of this information onto their networks to meet some of the statutory security requirements that they have, for example. That's probably the biggest one that's out there. So we're now actually starting to see some pilot programs actually out there. We're seeing GSA is actually developing sort of a risk management framework that will help agencies figure out how best to implement mobility within their network. So we're getting progress along these lines, but for the most part it's really just consolidated within agencies for the time being. It's something that hasn't moved out to being a larger federal initiative quite yet, other than just simply they're acknowledging we know that this is our future, we just don't know what it's going to look like yet. Now, I realize you probably have all heard these same technologies being discussed everywhere you go, and that's really the case. These are the big technologies that everyone's focusing on. You're going to see that reflected in each of the agencies that we covered today. The programs that we talk about are hopefully going to echo these initiatives, and you'll be able to run with those and hopefully get some business from that.